Salutations once again, MLP fans, and thank you for stopping by. Today's deck is going to be a little bit boring compared to our others. It's going to be a basic look at orange and white. White-orange isn't really my favorite matchup or anything, but when it comes to playing orange competitively, white is one of the most powerful, if not the most powerful color in the metagame, so by running some very simple white staples, we can make orange a very competitive deck. So today we're going to dissect a basic orange-white and see how it runs. Enough talking, it's on to the deck list. As always, those that just want to net deck the deck list, here it is, please enjoy. All I ask is that you leave me a like on your way out. For the rest of us, you'll notice that this is kind of a slightly different take from the old Applejack days. In the old Applejack days, we used to run more on-play effects because we could do this really funny, cheesy thing with the old Applejack main that we can't do anymore because Interplay has no idea what they're doing. See, if you look in the instruction manual for the MLP card game, it says that if your home limit has been reached, then you must dismiss friends until you have only your home limit in play. But a few months later, they came out with the advanced rules, and the advanced rules say that the cards aren't dismissed, they're quote-unquote retired, but they never bothered to change it for the instruction manual. Reaching your home limit on purpose and then dismissing friends with good on-play effects and putting them back on top of your deck so you could draw into them again was one of the basic strategies of playing this Applejack. And then when they took that away, they made this Applejack literally worthless. The only time this Applejack was good is if you were playing against somebody who consistently used a pink deck and you wanted to abuse the fact that the pink decks were pretty worthless against this main. It was just too situational. So now that this Applejack is essentially worthless, we're really just running it because it's a very easy Applejack to flip, and we've already used the other Applejack in a different video. Farm for Mare was really only there to get Tangled Koi Fur. Tangled Koi Fur is a very powerful white card because it shuts down all of the problematic friends in this metagame, and nobody runs a resource getting rid of cards. Except maybe some yellow, but that's splitting hairs. It's a really good card, so we wanted something that gets it in our hand a lot faster, which is why we're running this card. Now obviously, if you're running something like this, you have to run more resources just in case you can't get to Tangled Koi Furs, like they're just dug way too deep in your deck, or if you've drawn into all of them and you draw this card, then it would be worthless. So we're running a bunch of other really good resources too, just in case we can't get to Tangled Koi Fur, but you always want Tangled Koi Fur. Always. If you can't get Tangled Koi Fur, then get Vittle Stands, because this card has Stubborn, and you can do really funny stuff with Vittle Stands and cards with Stubborn. You exhaust Vittle Stands, you put this on a problem, you exhaust this, and then you add its power to another friend at that problem, but you still get this card's power because it has Stubborn, and it's really lolzy. Barn Raiser is really underrated. It's a really good card simply because you can keep it at your home and exhaust it to give its power towards a problem without actually having to pay the 2 to move it. Orange is all about getting more power, and this is free power, so we're obviously going to run it. A lot of people are going to come into an outrage and say, oh, why would you ever run this Big Mac over the other Big Mac? The other Big Mac is clearly superior. Well, here's my thing. For one, this Big Mac is a lot easier to get a hold of, and it's also cheaper to play. Granted, the guaranteed 6 power isn't as powerful as the 2 flips, because if you're going to flip a second card, chances are it's going to give you more than just 2 power, especially in an orange deck, but we're still going to be running this Big Mac either way. It's cheaper, it's guaranteed 6 power, and it's easier to get a hold of. Earth Pony Royal Guard, staple, needs to be in orange decks right now, gets rid of so many problems before they even have the chance to hit the field. After they've already hit the field, you're not really too worried about actually moving them to problems and having them solve problems because there are so many other cards in the deck that are way better than this card. But putting it in play, getting to see your opponent's hand, getting to see exactly what they're going to play during their next turn and what they're saving their action points for, and getting rid of one of their friends, just too powerful. Needs to be at 3 in orange decks right now if you want to stay competitive. Gets rid of Spring Forwards, Truly Outrageuses, all-team organizers, cloud chasers. All of the things that are a problem right now, this card gets rid of immediately. Full steam, 4 cost, 4 power, good card. We need something without color requirements. This is a good card without color requirements. Enough said. 3 truly outrageous rarity, because until it gets banned or limited, it's going to be the best rarity. Nest Weaver is an acceptable substitute if you can't get your hands on this. I completely understand. It's like $60 to $70 right now. Just put in Nest Weaver instead until you can get your hand on some. But eventually you're going to need them if you want to be competitive. I've always been a huge Featherweight fan. I think his effect is absolutely hysterical. He might not be as good here in Season 2 because if your opponent has multiple cards with Pumped, then you're just feeding fodder to the Pumped cards, but I think the ability to get rid of good cards during face-offs is very important. I don't know if I'd be moving him around the board after I've already put him in play and he's already done his face-off thing and gone home, but he's very good for that first face-off because it makes sure that your opponent cannot draw something good during a face-off. Well, not exactly makes sure, but makes it way more likely they're not going to get something good for their face-off flip. Action Shot, the best 0 requirement white card you're going to find, gives another character +4 power, just too good. Helps solve problems, helps meet color requirements, it's just an all-around good card. Especially if you're going up against another aggro deck. If your opponent's running like yellow or blue or something and you know you're going to have to go into a face-off, you play that Action Shot, you get 3 extra power plus another character gets 4 more power. Okay, that's like adding another Holly Dash to your team. It's only really good once, but you know, what are you going to do? Octavia is just a good, strong, movement-stopping card. Because so many decks focus around cheap movement or free movement, you need something like Octavia to hold them in place. She shuts down Swift, she shuts down Holly Dash, she shuts down pretty much anything that would have your opponent moving stuff around, except for some of the free stuff, because I think that's actually null and void for Octavia's effect. Like Eagles, I'm not too sure if you can use this to make Eagle players pay for moving with that effect, but you know, you get the gist. It's a good card, you should have it at 2. You can also do some pretty hilarious stuff with this and Hold Still, like some really lolsy stuff with this and Hold Still. And finally, Photo Finish is kind of my tech card. It's a card that you're not going to find in a lot of competitive decks, but I use it because I love running this card in decks that can consistently win face-offs. The number one thing to note when looking at Photo Finish is it says when you win a face-off involving this card, you may spend a card from beneath it to banish an opponent's friend. Now, it doesn't say banish an opponent's friend at that problem, it doesn't say involved in that face-off, it's just banish an opponent's friend. This is especially important for sniping out Rarity Truly Outrageous. You involve her in a face-off, you get a pumped card, you win a face-off, it's gone, okay? Anything that's giving you problems, Big Top, gone. If your opponent has another Octavia, gone. It's just such a powerful card to run, especially in a deck that doesn't have any other form of pumped. Now for our events. 3 Stand Still. I think I called it Hold Still earlier. Whatever, I'm way too lazy to go back and fix it. This is likely one of the best white events. In fact, I would even argue that it is the best white event because it's free, it has 5 power, so if you flip it during a face-off, you're still good, and its effect is just too good. The basic synergy goes like this. Your opponent pays 2 to move a character to a problem. You play this card for free. You move the character back. Your opponent pays another 2 to move that character from home to that problem. They paid 4 for a move that should have cost them 2. What's even better, if they move to a problem that has Octavia, then they have to pay the 4 to move, and then you play this card to move them back home, and they have to pay another 4 if they want to get that character onto that problem. It's just too good, man. It's just too good. Not on the list is another card that doesn't get run very often, but I'm going to run it here because I think it's a very important card to have right now. The thing that makes pink decks so good is they have the ability to remove threats from the field. In Season 2, we got Not on the List, and Not on the List pretty much makes white as capable as pink. This pretty much does what Downright Dangerous does, not quite as good because if your opponent doesn't have something with 2 or less power, then you can't just get rid of it. But All Team Organizer, Spring Forward, and Rarity Truly Outrageous all have 2 power, and you can get rid of them all. Owls, Cloud Chasers, whatever, bye. And finally, Plum Tuckered Out, really the only orange event you need. Your opponent moves a friend or plays a friend to a problem in order to accomplish something, and you exhaust it so it can't accomplish anything that turn. Whatever you're planning, give me a turn to process it, and then you can try your little stunt next turn. Okay. For resources, we obviously have Tangled Koi Fur at 3 because it is the best white resource out there. Hold an opponent's friend in place and make them do nothing. It's pretty great. It's a lot less powerful in the metagame now because there are a lot of friends that don't really need to move to do anything. Like, you couldn't use this to stop an all-team organizer Twilight, you couldn't use this to stop a Cloud Chaser, but it's still pretty good. Vidal stands Orange's middle finger to the world. It pretty much makes Orange amazing and nobody's figured it out yet. If you exhaust this in a character with Stubborn, you can give that character's power to another character at that problem, and then it gets both, because the exhausted character with Stubborn also gives its power. You're basically just doubling up. Or, alternatively, you can exhaust one of your characters at home and give its power to one of your characters already out of problem. You didn't even have to pay the 2 to move it. And finally, Sweet Apple Acres. It's a very common control card right now. It's not really as good as it was in Season 1. You'll hear me say that a lot for Orange-White, but it's still a pretty good card, so we're going to run it at 3. We wouldn't normally run it at 3, but because we're running Formare, we're going to run it at 3 just so we have even more targets to get with her look at the top 5 cards and put a resource in your hand ability. For Troublemakers, just 3 Yellow Parasprite, my usual. And for the problem deck, Runaway Cart is normally going to be our starting problem because it takes 1 orange and 1 of something else. That makes it very easy to flip Applejack. You just move this over to it and then play some white card that has 2 power. 1 Apple Bucking Day to make up for that extra space, and Apple Bucking Day is ridiculously good. Social Obligations, because we do plan on winning most of our face-offs because of how powerful we are and the fact that all of our cards are dedicated to getting even more powerful. Getting that extra bonus point is really a snap. 2 Fruit Bat Roundups, because control decks are a real problem for this deck. Control decks like to sit for 3, 4, 5 turns at a time not doing anything and save up those action points, and if they happen to run into a Fruit Bat Roundup, then they lose a whole bunch of stuff. They haven't been playing anything from their hand because they've been saving them action points, so they have a full hand and a full set of action points. Chances are they're going to lose their entire hand and probably the game. Don't laugh, I've seen it happen. Raze This Barn shuts down pink decks. That's literally all this card is for. It also has a bonus of 3, so I don't know, rarity truly outrageous, I guess, I don't know. And finally, Want It, Need It, because if we're not facing an orange deck, then they get absolutely nothing from this while we get bonus points. And that is awesome. And that's it for the deck. Lover or hater, Rarity Truly Outrageous will win you games. Make it a priority to save Rarity Truly Outrageous in all situations. I would try not to play her even and make her a target unless you know you can get 2 or more bonus points out of her. Here's a lulzy little combo you can do with Action Shot. Use its ability to give Farm Formare Applejack the +4 power, and then Vidal stands to exhaust it and give its power to somebody else. Since Farm Formare has Stubborn, it's going to keep its power and also give its power to another friend. This can be done with anybody with Stubborn, but it's normally going to be done with Farm Formare. The earlier you play Earth Pony Royal Guard, the better. As soon as you get it in your hand, you need to figure out a way to play it. Don't just play it and not really get anything else out of its power or anything, but as soon as you have an opportunity to solve a problem, try to get Earth Pony Royal Guard in there as well. Control decks make this deck cry. Don't get into a control battle because you're probably going to lose. Just try to finish the game as quickly as possible. And I think that's about all I have to say on the deck. If you enjoyed this deck profile, then please leave it a like. Those things really do help me out more than you could ever know. Subscribe to stay up to date on the latest Kudo news if you haven't already, and leave me your thoughts on the deck in the comments section below. I'm pretty sure Arkham City just came in the mail, so I'm gonna go play that. Have a good day, everybody.